Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network here, where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata Live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm very well. We have a lovely autumn day here with a bit of the weather played game on us with sun, rain, and then sun again. But other than that, there is lovely colors, and you can feel this really nice small cold that just makes everything cozy. And yeah, how are you, Jan?
Nice. Well, we had similar with both rain and sun today, but I managed to hit the sun when I was
Oh
out.
yeah,
So,
same here.
so, so I was out with shorts, having a jog. It was 16 degrees, so it's not too cold here
Right.
yet.
Yeah, shorts I can't imagine here for the time being.
Yeah. So, what do you have planned for tonight?
I have had this idea for yeah, a little over a year ago, I think I first mentioned this, but I want to build sentences out of Wikidata statements. So my challenge for today is how can I describe that Sweden and then what is the basic type of government and so on, so on, so on, and make a query that returns a sentence, that full sentence. So that's the goal. And then we see what flaws we will have. Yeah. And you, Jan.
I'm going to continue from last week when I did a mapping the query service for Wikidata Loves Monuments because there was a big update during the week. We now can actually do geopoints with Cartographer. So I'm going to try to not do exactly the same, but sort of the same, and then try to actually put it on Wikipedia as well to see.
Ah, this is lovely. We have been waiting for this feature for years.
Yes, it's been a long time
Yeah.
coming, but finally they
Yes.
pushed over the edge, and it is live as well. So
And this was the Wikimedia Deutschland community wish list that
I
made it happen.
think it was. I'm
Yeah.
not
So
super sure about that, but I think it was. Yes,
yeah, shout out to the community wish lists.
yes.
Oh,
And talking about the community, also a shout out here. Like we're up now to 33,000 parliamentarian motions in the Swedish Parliament documents to now have a main subject. That's P921, and Johannes has been adding a lot, and I'm adding them a little here and a little there, and it's starting to get useful now with all these connections to other things in
yeah.
Wikidata. So it's not just a
How
isolated
many
item.
are there in total?
I think there's about 140,000.
Oh,
So
then it's a real
yeah, I
chunk.
think we're like a quarter or something,
Yeah.
uh, almost. Not really, but getting close
Yeah,
to it.
almost.
Yeah. And of course, in some topic areas, there's even more. So, yep. But they don't stop. They just open a new. We're up to 164,000. Yes, because they don't stop. We just open a new motion period for the new parliament. So, and there's about 5,000 new every year, or a little bit less. But that's about that. Now let's head into the querying here. So I'm going to start very similar to. Oops! Now I pressed all the buttons here. I think you already made a bug for that. Going over here and then
Yeah.
getting to click
I
that.
have also made a pull request to fix it.
Oh, all right, that's good. But today I'm gonna query first things that have a point and put that on the cartographer in. So that's what I'm gonna query for. So let's start with a select. And since I know this is gonna be on cartographer, I am gonna from the start call this ID. And this is important because without it, it won't work because that cartographer will expect something with ID. And then for the thing I will do, they will not have connections to OpenStreetMap, or at least I will not rely on them. So I'll pull the things from Wikidata. And for that, you actually also have to name it geo. That's going to be the coordinate. So there's a few like special parameters or variable names you will need to use for using cartographer, and these are two of them.
Could you pull data from OpenStreetMap even for the EU points?
Oh, I don't even know if that is
Okay,
activated
yeah.
yet, but for shapes you can. So
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
just assuming that will come, or
Yeah.
it automatically came. I don't know, but
Yeah.
for now
Then
I'm gonna. I haven't tested that, but yeah, that's a good question. For now we're gonna stick with this. So, and I'm gonna do something similar like last week, where I'll go for some type of monuments in Wikidata, and I'll do that through the. Do I remember cultural? I want the Swedish cultural identifier, not Serbia. Cultural heritage. Let's go with Swedish. Helps. That's not. There we go. Swedish open cultural heritage. So, and this time I'm gonna use that one. So I'm gonna call it. I'm actually only going to use it like in an intermediary thing to do some stuff with. So I'm just going to call it something like CID. Here. And I know they will need to have some coordinates. So let's add that. And here, as always, it's control space for autocomplete. And this is the coordinate location that I want. And this one, I usually call it coord, but here we're going to need to call it geo. And then to get a little bit of more narrow scope, because this is going to be, I guess, more than 100,000 or something like that, I'm just going to do one municipality. So it'll be located in the administrative territory. And here I'm going to go with my home municipality. So I'll recognize a few things on the map. Let's just see if how much I'm working with here. So 1515. And I think now I also could be able to plot this on a map, and we'll get a sort of like a first visual inspection. Like this is what we're working with. And let's even try to go directly with this to cartographer, because this is a rather simple thing. So we'll just, and I started here on Swedish Wikipedia. I'm just going to do a new page here to just have this one on. And in many languages on Wikipedia, you have some sort of template working with this to make maps. But what you're actually using, what that's sort of embedding, is a map frame. And I'm going to show you on this page. Now let's see if I can actually go there as well. That's going to be good. 3ESE. We have the documentation where you can actually see how this is done. And you can see this is the map frame tag that we're going to need. So I'm going to add a map frame here. And I'm going to give it a width. And since this is everything, all I have on the page, I can go a little bit nuts. Let's see how we're actually writing this. So just like that. So I'm going to go 600 height. 600. And then we can have some sort of text. And here I'm going to say monuments. Östhammar municipality. that. And then there's going to be something that closes that as well. And we don't want a 7 there. We want that. And with an E. So that is sort of like the actual frame of the frame, as we can see. And then we have some examples here, and we can see via Wikidata query that we going to need to add a type, and this is external data, so I'm just going to copy that. Let's see if I'm actually, we're also going to need to actually close this with, so let's start with that. There and there.
Jan, it has been pointed out in the chat that you have a small spelling error of height.
Oh, yes, that would have broken it. Thank you. Beautiful. And I will remove this banner now. And besides type, we also need to specify what we're trying to pull in. And we used to only be able to pull in geoshape, but now we're also can have points, and there's already an example in here. So that's very useful. So we'll have the point here, and we'll add that on a new line. And then, of course, we need to do the actual query, which we also need to spell correctly. I think this one is going to need to be enclosed with, let's have a check here. Yes. And then this whole thing comes. So I'm going to go here. I wonder if should I do duplicate? So I'll have one that is easy to read. And then one here where I'm just, because stupid as it is, it doesn't really like the line breaks. I don't know why, but this is what I'll need to put in here as the query. I'll put it in here, and hopefully, previewing this, we'll get something. We do get, well, it's going to try to render 1500 things as well, so it might take some time. Yes, here it comes. 1500 dots on this. So that's pretty nice. This we were not able to do a week ago. So that's already progression. But of course, we could do nicer than this.
It's
And I have,
amazing.
yes, it is amazing. And I have a few ideas what I want to do here now. So where do I want to start? I think I want to start with, because right now I cannot click these. They don't give me anything. So I'll have to give cartographer some sort of more information to work with. And here's where we do have some more of these special parameters. So if I give it something called title, that will be understood by cartographer. And then, of course, I will have to query for a title. So we'll go with query service here. And another one that I usually bite the dust the first time is that these have to be changed to the simple ones. And for these, I'm actually also going to go with Swedish because I'm not sure if they're available. And since there has to be named title, so I'll go with the ID having the RDFS, I think it's label. Yes, I'll assign that to title. Like that. And to get this in, let me run this first here, because I don't think Wikidata query service, well, it shows me the title here at least. So that's good. So we know that we're actually getting something. So let's head into here again. I'll add this here in the end. Another thing that is I have been getting stuck on sometimes is that you actually also need this space, because otherwise the wiki text confuses it with some sort of template, I guess. So this space here is really important between these two. And then, of course, here I need to query for the title as well. Let's see if that works.
That with the space is interesting.
It is interesting, yes, because it's also already like in something else, but still it
Yeah.
sort of get caught.
Yay.
Yes, so we get something here, and let's see. Can I? Yes, I can click this. It's a little bit slow, but I can click something and get. And I think this is a lighthouse. So, and the other thing I had here, I think that was some sort of ancient monument. So I want to see the difference between these two as well, the types. And these could be a little bit tricky. And depending what you're trying to do, you can go with any kinds of ways. But the way I want to distinguish them, I want to give them different symbols. And because we do have marker symbols. And also, I think it wasn't last week, it was the week before last. We actually got an upgrade in the icon set we had in Wikimedia. We had a quite old one, I think, an old version of
Yeah,
this.
we have 1.0 and we have had it all since the start. I don't think it has ever
Yeah,
been updated.
and I think this is sort of up to 5 or something like that, 7 even.
Yeah.
So I think we got 100 new ones to play with, something like that. And you have them listed here, and these are the names that you will have to use to call for them. So we'll have to assign these in our query somehow. And that could, of course, be done with any sort of binding to a parameter. And I guess the important part here, let's see, go back up here, is that this needs to be called marker symbol. No. And here we see why. It's called marker symbol for other things, but with Wikidata query, it has to be underscore. So this is a little bit of a new thing. So marker symbol is the magic keyword, I could say, used perhaps, that makes cartographer understand this. So now we just have to assign something here. So we're going to bind something to create this, and I'll go with the end here, because this is where so I want to bind something as the marker symbol. And what I'm going to bind here is I'm going to use some sort of, if it's something, I'm going to bind it as I'm going to use the museum marker, and if it's something else, I'm going to use it. So the way I'm going to do this in this logic is going to be based on this ID, because I know that all the buildings starting the string with the same thing. So, and I said starting the string, so I'm going to use the starts. There we turn red. That's good. And what I'm going to look for is the CID. And if it starts with something, not the double, the single ones, slash RAA/BDR, then I know it's a building. So if it does that, I want to assign museum. And I'm going to need a comma here. And if it's something else, I'm going to assign historic, because that's a nice little thing. Then I think I need an ending there, and that's the marker symbol. I run this here to see that I actually got the syntax correctly. Hopefully I'm going to get historic museum, so forth. So that's good. And we can also see here, no, I didn't pick the CID, so we don't see it. So now I'll copy this into my long little thing here. Let's see, where can I put it? I'll put it just before the service here. And then I'll also need to select for it here again. And of course, I think we have said it many times, but it would be nice to have under code snippets here, cartographer as an output. So it would be easier to build. Maybe I should create a fabricator ticket for that.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it yet.
No, but it could be here as well. We have shown fabricator a couple of
Yeah.
times, but it's...
So let's see if that actually turned out nicely here. Takes a little bit time.
Yeah, usually the first time.
Fix things popping up. It's always good when the things. Oh, right. Now here we see. So we see the lighthouse here, and it has the building symbol or museum symbol, and then we see here this has the historic. This is some sort of, I would guess it's some sort of stone setting or something like that, or a grave, and a lot of them, of course, here. Now, like we did last time, we assigned colors to it to see which one has already got an image or not. And this is sort of like the primary use case. So that's what I want to do again today.
Yeah.
So
my thinking is already we got those lists of monuments which we want to make data driven on Swedish Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And this would be amazing to have there.
Yes. So we're going to do something very similar. So instead of marker symbol here, we want something called marker underscore color. That's what we're going to need. And the way I'm going to do that is going to be based on image. So let's first see. So I want to include those that don't have an image. So we need to use an optional. So optional, if ID image is P18 still, yes. And I'll call this image. And then I want to bind something again. And here I now want to see, and I'll do similarly as it's going to end up in the marker color. What do I want to bind here? I'll need to check if it has an image. So we can do that with the word bound. I need to do an if first here. So if bound image, if it is bound, it's going to be true. And if it's not bound, it's going to be false. So if it's bound, I want to assign this a color. And if it's bound, it's good. So some kind of green. So I'm going to go with RGB. That's going to be greenish.
That's impressive.
And if it's not green, if it's not bound, we'll go with some sort of red. It's going to be very high color contrast within those. So we'll go, and R is the first one, so it's 991111. And end for the if statement. I think that's going to be it. Now we added 3 things. So we'll copy this first to my, where did I go? Query here. So after marker symbol, we'll add this. And then we're asking, yes, agreed. We query for the, do that over here before the binds, the optional for the image, and then the next bind, the new bind here. This is more than a little bit tricky, I would say. Let's see, there goes, and an extra space there. All right. Hopefully this will become very colorful. Let's see. Oh yes. Oh, there's a lot of more to take account of photos of here. But let's zoom in a little bit if we can in this. Yes, we can in the live preview.
No, I already want like a built-in filter into Cartographer where we
Mm-hmm.
can.
So what I've tried so far is that for geopoints, layer, RGB, and fill and stroke, like words that otherwise might be working, they don't work for the geopoints.
Yeah.
But we do have another thing that we can do, because now we saw here that there's a lot of things, and especially it's a lot of more things that have not been taken photos, so the other ones are being sort of filtered out. So I'm going to change the sizes as well, because that's also something we can do.
Oh.
So I'm going to do it very similarly here. So, and here I think you can figure out where this is going. So we're going to use a size here. And I'm going to do a bound here as well. And since this is going to be bound based on if it has an image or not, you could do something else, but that's what I'm going to do. I'll just copy this and I'll change this for size. And if it has an image, do I want it larger or smaller? Really, in a photo competition, you probably want to do those that don't have an image larger. But here, since I have so many without, I'm going to make them smaller. So if it has an image, I'm going to make this large. If it doesn't have an image, I'll make it small. Not image.
And are you supposed to have that? No, you
No.
Okay.
It's large and small. And you also have medium, but that's also the default, so you don't really need to change it. So let's add these in. So go with the marker size here, over here. That's going to go.
In the meanwhile, I answer Jane's thought there. Most of those are actually stone settings, or like really flat graves from mostly Bronze Age, and they can be really, really hard to find and even harder to photograph. But they are imported into Wikidata, and they are technically Wikidata monuments.
Yeah, part of the competition in Sweden.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now let's see. It shouldn't be harder than that. So let's just go here again. And yes, you already said it, and Shovan is here. Like these kinds of maps, I think will be very useful as complements to the lists. And here we can see now that some turned smaller, some turned larger. Yes, so here we can clearly see the difference between them. So we do have a church, and we have something next to the church, probably a runestone.
Is it a runestone which doesn't have a photograph?
No,
yes.
yes.
I'm slightly upset.
It might not be. I'm not sure, but it's a little bit off. You have to go on pebbled roads to get over there.
But it's a 1-1, so it could be a runestone.
Yes.
Indeed.
Now, there's one more keyword that we can use. But since I'm a little bit short of time, I'm just going to show it quickly. So we had the title. We also have description that we can use. And that will actually go, so the title will go as a header. I think it's bold, and then will come with normal text underneath it. It will automatically have a line break in between them.
Do you want to add it? You got the time if you want to.
I'm going to add it.
Yeah.
So we're going to put the description in here. And then how I'm going to add it is I'm going to do a bind again, as we do, and as description. Spell it right is important for this one because they're sort of keyed. Usually it's not very important how we spell them, but in this case it actually is. And the way I'm going to do it here is, again, if it has an image, I want to show the image as description, because in this field we can actually use Wikitext, which is pretty neat. So if bound image, I want to bound something, and that I'm going to put in here. And if it, and here's, I'm going to write something here soon. And if it's not bound, I'm not going to set anything. So it's going to be empty. So we don't do ugly markup there. Now, what do we want to put in here? We want to put in, let's see. Might even do it like that. I'm going to go in here. I need to concat something together to get to Wikitext. And the concat will start with file : because that's how we call an image. And then end of the concat there. And then here I'm going to need to actually get the file name in some way. And I'm going to use replace on the string of the image. Because the image is a long URL to the file, which the VDQS understand natively. And we want to replace that first part of that. And that first part is a little bit long, so I'll just copy and paste it now. But it goes to this special file path. And then after that, we want an end to this as well. Like, no, not double.
Yeah.
Like that. And I need to escape the pipe here as well. So let's run this and see if I broke something. Or if I do get a field with description. I do not get a field with description. Oh, no, because these don't have images. So where do we have one with image? Here we have it.
Yeah.
This doesn't look right. This should be before. What did I do? Praise there.
It's inside of the replace function.
It is. So I need to close the replace first.
Yeah. And then I guess you have a parenthesis too many. Yeah.
Too many?
At the end.
That one?
Yeah, I assume so.
Oh.
No. Yeah. No.
No, wait. I'm going to need... I want to replace it with something, and the thing I want to replace it with is nothing. That should do it.
Right.
And let's see that it actually...
you can use the sort. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. So let's see if I can bring this very long line into here. I'll put it just before the service. And do I query for description already? Yes, I do. So let's see if this works. No. Oh, I did something wrong. What did we break?
Is there a line break in there?
Yes, it is. There we go. So, line breaks, no good. Ah, yes, the box here, that's reassuring. And hopefully we get some symbols here. Yes, the navigation things here. Then we know it's things are starting to work. And immediately we won't see any difference, but now hopefully we'll see a lighthouse here. Yay!
Yes.
It's a little bit up.
Do you know if this, I mean, we can do it in Wikitext, but does it render well if you do it with like a video or something like that?
I haven't tried video.
Yeah.
Let's go with this one. There we go. There we see. And you can see the bold text for the title, and then the description is just Wikitext, which it does something with. I have tried to get it to do line breaks in Wikitext, and I haven't got it to work. But
I
it,
think I've seen it work somewhere.
yes. So this
Um,
probably, you can't do HTML, but you have to do some sort of Wikitext line break, or the other way around. I don't know, or some special character.
yeah,
But
yeah.
well, this is what I wanted to do. So I'll actually press save here,
Yeah.
and then I'll give you all the link in the chat so you can go check it out.
And for
And
history, I will just bring it up quickly on the screen.
yes, yes. Oh,
That's
the
great.
beautiful. Ah.
But I want one limitation of this, I assume, is that you can't combine like GeoShape or GeoLines with GeoPoints currently.
I think you can, but the way you need
Okay.
to do it then is like when you do it, because you can combine them uh, like just drawing. So that if I'll go into the
Yeah.
wiki text here,
Yeah. If
you'll
you use,
have to have separate like entire sections like this. So I could start a new section
oh,
underneath here,
so if you would
and
copy the current section, you would like do duplicate it in the same map.
yes. And
Oh,
here you could also go like instead of having external data, you can just say, I want to place something here. Like
yeah.
here
Or
is
you
my
can
start point
draw.
for my
Yeah.
treasure hunt or something like that.
I think the visual editor has a drawing
Yeah.
editor nowadays. Yeah.
Yes. So you could just tag these along with many different kinds,
No,
which is quite powerful.
indeed.
And even combining them with map data from Commons.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's another thing. What if we want to do Sparkle queries to commons in the future? That's a feature request.
Yes, that's what we want to do
Yeah,
with both the map data and tabular data.
indeed.
Yeah, but that I don't think we can do for now.
No.
No.
And then we think it's a limit at 1,500 points, I believe, as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
perhaps. Well, yes. So that was sort of what I wanted to show today. I'm gonna see if
That
there's something I missed in the chat. I think I got most of it. Yes.
that's really nice. What I want to do today, we have these country pages on Gov directory, which is based on Wikidata. Like here we got Sweden, and we have a couple of like data points here, like just type of government, and there is like a comma separated list here, and then we got a head of state, head of government, and so on. But what I would really like is to being able to, with just Wikidata, being able to say that Sweden is a representative democracy, constitutional monarchy, and Sweden has a population of so and so and so, and include like relevant information. So I want to play around with doing this with just Wikidata. So that's what we are at least starting today
Mm-hmm.
and maybe continuing later on. But I'm going to head straight over to the query service and just try to grasp what we want to do here. So I want to select something, but I only want one output. I only want a full sentence. So that's the goal. Have just one variable that we get in them, and then my actual query to make this happen. So I'm gonna just do this for one country for the time being, but I could structure this as a regular query later on. I'm gonna move my screen around so I see the chat in case there are questions. There we go. So let's just get Sweden first. We have something to work with. So I'm just gonna bind it for now as country. Bind PD Sweden, and I shouldn't need to do it that way. Sweden as country. So if I run this, you can see we do not select country, but we still get one result because this bind actually has some data inside here. Okay, so we want the label now. So we want to say that Sweden is something. So to get a label without actually, so if I would just add the label service, I think Jan, you had to do the same today. You can't actually just use the label service like this if you want to access it inside of your query. If you want it this way, you need to actually say country label up here. But I want it inside. So we need to select it here. And we say country. And then the actual label is actually stored at rdfs label. And let's call it country name. So let's run it to see we don't have any errors. We still doesn't see anything. But if I would quickly add country name here, we can see that it selected Sweden. So let's see. Now we can actually start making a sentence. So let's just get something out there. So bind, and I just want to, exactly like Jan did, like concat it together to begin with. So bind, concat.
Double bind?
Oh, no, not a double bind. Concat, and then country name, and then the rest of the string is, and I add a space before her just to ensure, is and here the first problem is it or it can depend. Let's see if it becomes an issue, or if I even notice it's an issue considering it's not my native language. And then as, and then here first time we can actually do this sentence. It won't be a full sentence, but it's a start. Sweden is okay. Now it must be something as well. And we got this really great query, or this really great property, basic form of government. And Sweden is an interesting case here. And already we start seeing interesting challenges because Sweden are two. It's a monarchy and a democracy, and those are two separate items here. But let's just select them to begin with so we see what we are working with. And then country and PDT basic form of government. That's a low number. I think I got it right. It's a tricky word. And now we can see we already get two results. It's still you selecting this, but basic form of government is essentially two things. So we get two results. And here is the first trick. So normally if we would just select this as a variable, we could use one of those aggregate functions, either sample to just pick the first one, or we could group concat them to merge them together. But we can't actually do that here because then again, we won't have access to it here inside of our query. So we need to do subquery, which is essentially SparkL query inside of another SparkL query. And I'm gonna select star for the time being. That's how I always do it. And I think we can just move this in there now. And then group concat it. Let's see if I remember the syntax. I did not because I need those two. Group concat as form of. I'm gonna be really lazy here. And I should change the naming here. Maybe it should be basics form of government or something like that, and then we should something indicating that this is plural, and here it becomes it's still plural, however. So I'm gonna leave it like this too for the moment. Okay, but how does this group concat now work? What it does is essentially the same as concat, but it understands that this might be more than one variable. So we say that that's the thing we want to concat, and then it has a second parameter which says, okay, but what should you do in between them? And I essentially want like comma separated lists as we would write it in a sentence, comma space, like that. And then I don't think we need a group by here because we only have one. Let's see if it runs. No, it complains or something. Shouldn't we have? Yeah, we should have. Let's see, group concat as and there we got the spelling error. Indeed, does it affect my query?
No, I don't think so.
No, it shouldn't. Let's see. We are gonna use this really great resource. I'm gonna show it to everyone. Here is Wikibooks, and it's the Wikibooks handbook for SparkQL. And I think they have a section here on aggregate functions, which is what we're using. And I can you see group concat here. Oh, it's a named variable. We actually have to say separator, it seems like.
And is a
And
semicolon
then,
important?
and then there is a semicolon, exactly. Yeah, let's first try it with just the semicolon. No.
But it got a little bit longer.
And yeah, I got a little bit, we got a slightly different error
Yes.
here. But now I added this named variable here, separator. And there we got something. However, we got no results. The interesting thing with subqueries is oh, that's true, because we are actually not getting the label here, so we can do string. This is not the string, it's just the URI, the queue number. So if I just pretend like that's the string I want for the time being, then I'm still getting no results. Okay. The best thing about subqueries is that you can just extract small pieces of them and debug them this way. Let's see, what if I just do this and say that country is Sweden. Q44. Then I do get this response as I want. That's really interesting. So let's see here. I assume that No.
Does the subquery know about country?
That's a good question. Why wouldn't it?
It runs in a different order. If the
Oh, indeed,
optimizer.
it could be the hint playing game models. So this is a shortcut for turning off the optimizer, which reorders your query.
Ah,
No.
but yes, Nicholas think it's the outside, so we might need it in both places.
But that would break it when I add more countries.
Yes.
How do I usually do this? I could use like a unstandard include solution.
If you only set it in the subquery and then also select it there.
Then I assume this. Oh, let's see. What if we do everything in there and then just bind it together? Yeah. So let's move everything in here. Oops, that's not how you do it in this editor. Let's do it like this. I don't think the diamond is very helpful when you do have subqueries. I think the formatting messes up that up. So let's bring in the bind here and then just leave the concat part here. Yeah, that's another good idea from Nicholas, something we should try. But let's start here. So then I still want to select the country name and the basic form of government, and I want to pass that on here. So this might be able to do it. Now this should have access to everything, and everything we do outside here is just building the sentence itself.
Oh, you need
Now we
to
got
aggregate.
Yes, and now I need to aggregate, of course, because now we're returning more. Group by country name, and that's it for the time being. Yeah, okay. So I'm guessing we actually got a result here. So we can see in this small shortcut query we made that we're still not merging the labels, but just the URIs here. So that's something we of course want to deal with. And now this isn't as necessarily, but I'm gonna keep using it because maybe we reformat it later or something like that. So I'm gonna say basic form of government, but with the spelling error, and say RDFS label. The label is always in the same place, I believe, at least. And then basic form of government label. And then up here, we're gonna merge the labels.
Are you missing a basic there?
And there I'm missing a dot. Okay. So assuming we got this, let's just continue merging here. And we will run into the next problem. And let's see, we named it form of government just. Like that, we need a comma. Damn, we didn't get it.
When you do the RDFS label for basic form of government, there you don't use that one up in the group concat. There you have the
No,
basic and down.
Yeah, I have a different name. There we go. So Sweden is a constitutional monarchy, and here next issue starts, comma, a representative democracy. We want, in case there is two, we want and the trick is if we want three, we want the and in a different place. And I think we can solve this by, I'm not sure, I haven't actually tried this yet, but I think we can do a little bit of an advanced replace here to deal with this. So let's just do a bind because we want to work with replacer. Replace, and we want to replace something in this form of government, and we want to replace it something inside of it with something else. And in this case, we want to replace the last comma with and, like that. And here we want to as, and let's just call this form for now because I'm slightly lazy. Okay, then we want here to have the form, and hopefully we can figure out what to put here to make sure it's we only replace the last comma. In this case, we could just say comma space because we only have two, but let's assume we're dealing with more. And I'm gonna jump into the Sparkle handbook. Again, it's a really useful overview. And then we have a place called expression of functions where we have this replace function described. So replace, here we go. And we can see here that the function actually has replace the string we want to replace things, and then it's just not the author string we want to replace, but an actual pattern. And it works similar to this regex function up here that's described, and it allows us to match for specific things. The problem, and we've been running into this a couple of times, is that if you use a regex in one place, it might behave differently in one place, and we're not sure what type of regex that works where. But this is a small service, a small open source service which allows you to test regular expressions. And I have already written one here that should match only the last comma and space. So we can bring in, use this as an example. And then we could see here, we only got one, it matches it. If I hover, it says it matches. But if we would add like one more instance here and a bunch of them, it still just matches the last one. So if everything works here, this should, even in this regex that the query service uses, just replace the last one. Let's hope for it. This has failed in the past. So there it is, like that. There is something called flags here, but I think this isn't needed here. It still matches what we want. So we could add another one here. For example, if or sentence would have line breaks in it or something like that, we might need to do more. So let's run this and hope for the best. Okay. So no trick here is that I do not know if it worked. It could have just have replaced that one we got. So let's fake it for just one moment and bind a fake variable. Oops, bind, and then we just do a string here, and we can use my long sheet string here. Maybe not this long, but this. Here we got more than one comma, so it should be enough to test this functionality. So bind, and I'm gonna bind it as temp for temporary, and then I want to do temp and run it. And we can see it says constitutional monarchy, representative democracy, and constitutional monarchy. So just the last one. It actually worked. I'm really happy about that. So let's go back here and remove the temporary things for testing.
I was a little bit surprised that you were supposed to put the regex within these.
Yeah, within regular quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, often it is like you put an R in front of it or something like that. but in this case, it's just like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see. This is already a sentence, and it works. But technically, it could be a grammar thing here, but we can't really deal with that without like seams. And I'm gonna leave it for later. But let's just make it a full sentence here to begin with. Yeah, I kind of leave things and issues for this, just to also show the debugging parts, because I think those are just as critical when you do
Mm-hmm.
queries like this. We can make this a full sentence by adding a dot at the end. And already we got Sweden is a constitutional and representative democracy. Okay, it's a full sentence, but we can do better. I have a list of like, hey, we should have the official name in there as well, but it's tricky because a country can have multiple official names. It might be very interesting that it's a part of the European Union. Which part, when should it showcase that? The population, for Gov directory, it's democracy index, and so on. So this is the start on our sentence, but I hope we can continue working on it like in the future and just build on it. And here we have a great notice from Nicholas, and this is slightly why I also select this time for we will be able to hook something like this up. I imagine somehow to abstract Wikipedia and wiki functions.
Mm-hmm.
But before we are done, I want to share this query. And if you make sentence like this, please share them with us. It would be lovely to see examples of what you can do with this.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that's going to be really powerful with wiki function is that, like, well, now you built one sentence,
Yeah.
and then no one else has to if they want to use the same sentence. So we just like
Yes.
add on this language of functions which we can reuse and combine.
Yeah, and especially so we can already see this limitation here with, I imagine Wikifunction would already have like built-in support for dealing with lists. Like we don't have here, we needed to write these regex, or dealing with or and so on. And those basic grammars that I need to make a bit of a template for here. Right.
All right, very cool.
And I think in the future I think we will one time do like build upon this to make it a real long and fancy sentence, and then one version where we try to use like seams to deal with basic grammar. But in case you have tips on that last part, feel free to share them with me. I haven't researched it yet.
All right, I think that's all for today. And as last week, we don't have a topic plan for next week. So if you do have any ideas, do ping us.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can do something fun about it.
Indeed.
And until then, happy
Happy
editing.
editing.